welcome to our webinar today. I know a couple of you are still connecting the audio, and I think we'll have a couple more joining us here in just a minute, but we're going to get started with just some introductions before we get into the session today. So thanks for joining. We'll be talking about digital marketing strategy, really important in today's world, and something that a lot of people have questions about. So I think it'll be a really important topic for us today. I'm Hannah Curtis. I'm Assistant Director with the North Metro Small Business Development Center. If you're not familiar with the SBDC, we offer free one-on-one consulting with our business consultants who have expertise in various areas, and really easy to get an appointment set up if that's something you're interested in doing. I'll drop some links in the chat later. So definitely encourage you to check that service out. The other big service that we offer is some educational programming like this webinar, and we do some online courses and things like that. So if you're looking to get more involved for your business, feel free to reach out. We can definitely plug you in wherever it's going to feel like the best fit for you right now. So today we are joined by Peter Brissett. He's one of our digital marketing consultants and has done courses for us, tons of webinars for us, very knowledgeable in the field, has been in the field for a long time. So we're thankful to have him on board with us today. And this is actually a topic that Peter has presented on quite a bit in the past and has done an excellent job. So we're going to be sharing one of his previous sessions, but he's online with us here today, so you can ask direct questions as well. So we'll be starting that in just a minute, but you can put questions into the chat, and we'll have some breaks built in, or you can also put those in and we can get to them at the end, whatever feels best for you. Just don't forget your questions. And this is being recorded, so we can share out the recording as well. And I just remembered that there's a handout that goes with this as well. So I will send that out in the follow-up email that will have the recording in that. And we do have a question. How do you come up with those great email headlines? That's a good one. I'm sure Peter has some insights on that. Anything come to mind for you, Peter, on how to get some good headlines generated?
I'll pull up a couple of things I can send over. So there's a couple of good idea starters.
Awesome.
On email headlines. Great.
That sounds good. And actually, I think I can share the handout that we're going to use. So bear with me for just a second. And you can kind of follow through this session here with that. Okay, it's the online marketing blueprint that you should be able to access in the chat now. So we are gonna go ahead. You guys hear my dog in the back? There's a cat outside. So hopefully that's not distracting for you. But if there aren't any other questions right now, we'll go ahead and get started with the presentation. Peter, do you have anything you want to say ahead of time?
Nope. We're going to talk strategy stuff. So be thinking strategy questions, and then I'm sure there'll be a lot of tactical things that'll come after that on, well, should I do this or do that? And we'll try to tie that back to strategy. But yeah, we'll be ready to answer any questions you have.
Good deal. All right, so we will get this started then.
All right, so this kind of comes from my online marketing blueprint. I put this together over the last 10 years of doing marketing consulting, the last 5 or 6 specifically with the SBDC, and kind of put together what the most frequently asked questions were. What were people asking me about marketing, and what were the kind of the key things that were really the most important that they needed to know? So that's really where this came from. And it really built around these 8 categories. So today what we're going to focus on is the strategy piece. We're going to talk about social media, and if we get to it, we'll spend a little bit of time talking about your website as well. But the first thing I really want to talk about is the assets that you own versus the assets assets that you rent when it comes to your digital marketing. I used to say there was two things. Now I say there's three things that you own. You own your brand. And that's where strategy really becomes really important, because that is the one thing that you own the most, and that's who you are and how you do business. We'll dig into that in the strategy piece of that in terms of how you build your branding. So it's not just your logo and your colors and all of that, which is important, but it's also your messaging and the actual problems that you solve and the services that you offer. So you own that. You have complete control over that. You can change and adjust that and make that work for you at any point in time. No one dictates that to you. The second thing that you own is your actual marketing list. Like, who are the people that you can market to? So your email list, your database, your social media followers to a degree, but they should be converted over to your email list as well. So you own that. That's your database. And then the third thing that you actually own and have full control of when it comes to digital marketing is your website, which is why I emphasize investing in your website in any way that you possibly can. So that's kind of the key there in terms of what you own versus what you rent. And social media is a little bit more of a rented space for businesses. So we'll talk more about that. So let's get into the strategy piece first. I kind of go by the 4 Ps, which is a little bit different in this than what you probably have normally heard in terms of the 4 Ps of marketing. So there's the product and the price and kind of your standard 4 Ps and your typical marketing. So what we start with is people. Who is your target market? Who is it that you're actually going after? If you have a very broad, oh, this is good for everybody, well, that's really difficult to actually market something that's good for everybody. Better to be able to build a persona. So a persona is, who is this person? How old are they? Where do they live? So it's a biographical picture of them in terms of age, location, and just a picture of that person. So are they married? What's their income levels? All of that. But then it's also a psychological picture, like a psychographical. What are they worried about? What are their struggles in the rest of their life? And then how is what you're providing them able to help them even overcome some of those challenges? So the better idea you have of who this person is, it really tells you what you need to do in your messaging and in how you speak to them, in how you do your content, how you interact on social media. All of that's going to be driven by who your target market is. So you really have to drill down on that. And you probably have it already within your database. So if you've been in business for any time at all, you've been able to see who your current clients are and really address several things like, who are they? Where are they? And even to the point of, who do I really like working with? Like, who are my favorite clients and why are they my favorite clients? And digging in and asking some of those questions to really get a better picture, a better idea of who your ideal client is and exactly where they are and how you can work with them. So the other category we talk about is audiences. So if you're going to do any social media marketing, there's a whole category of targeting ads that's around audiences. So again, the more information that you have about your target market, the better you're going to be able to actually send and position your ads to the right exact market. And there's side things that become important, like what TV shows do they like to watch? What books do they like to read? What magazines do they read? What kind of music do they listen to? What are their favorite activities that they enjoy doing? So those side things become important pieces as a part of building that persona in who you're going to target and go after. So important to ask questions about the people and your target market. The second P is problem. What is the actual problem that you solve for your clients? So you have to really think about that. What is the problem I'm solving? So I may provide a product or a service, but what's the underlying issue, the underlying problem that this product or service solves? And then you can begin to build out your content and your ideas around what are the benefits of solving this problem? And why should I solve this problem now? And what are the risks of not solving this now? What's at stake if I don't take action and do something about this problem right now? The more you have clarity on this, the easier it's going to be for you to market to those folks and get them to convert, to get them to move to being a client and being a customer. Because there's a lot of different ways people can solve a particular problem. Sometimes that's with your direct competition. Sometimes that's maybe trying to do it themselves. You know, there are kind of side competition that we don't necessarily always look at as competition. And for some folks, maybe I just don't even want to solve this problem right now. Like, why bother? It's just too hard, maybe. Or I don't have enough information. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So whatever the problem is, the better you understand it, the better you can describe it, and the better you can communicate to your audience of the benefits of solving it and the risks of not solving it now, the better you're going to be able to communicate with your prospects and move them quicker to becoming customers. The next steps here, I want to make sure I cover some of my notes, is the process. So what is your particular process for how you solve that problem? Now, I'm not saying that you should tell your prospects, here's everything that we do. You don't necessarily have to do that. What they want to know is what's the result you're going to get for them. So I may go by a drill, but did I really want a drill or did I want a hole? I really want a hole. I don't want a drill. So don't sell them the drill, sell them the hole, sell them the benefit and the end solution that they're going to get. What's the result they're going to get after working with you and you've solved this problem for them? So where your business really comes out unique and different, even if you're in the same field as a plumber or electrician or whatever it is, how do you do it just a little bit differently? What are some things that you have that your competition doesn't have? And it doesn't have to be dramatic and it doesn't have to be huge, but it should be different. And how do you add that uniqueness to your business? The way to get to more unique, even if everything about your business is exactly the same as every other plumber out there. I'm stuck on plumbers today. For every plumber that's out there, then why don't you just offer a guarantee? A lot of businesses don't offer any kind of guarantee. But if you wanted to go, hey, look, let me take away some of the risk of doing business with me, even though I may look exactly the same as everybody else, and then which gives you another problem. If you look like everybody else, then the only decision I can make is based on price. If everything is the same between you and your competition, my decision is based on, well, which one is going to give me the better deal. But most people want the better value. And if you can offer some type of guarantee that says, we guarantee you're going to get this result, or you're going to get your money back, or whatever it is that you're going to offer them in your guarantee, then you can have an edge over your competition and even charge a higher price because you're offering a greater value to your customers and clients. And then the next category kind of goes into that passion and personality piece. So this gets a little bit into why you do what you do. So Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. Great book to read to get some ideas there. And he really talks about people don't really get you or get your business until they understand why you do it. So why do you do what you do? Is that something you're communicating to your customers? Can definitely add a flavor that most businesses aren't going to get into. So you could do it be a personality. It could just be, here's the passions, here's the things that we really care about. Here are our values. These are the values that we operate with, and being able to share those. And of course, stories about your business and how you do things and how you interact with the community. These become extra level things that really help set you apart from your competition, because most businesses don't take the time to do that. And of course, personality, you can build on celebrity a little bit. So, here in the Denver local market, if you look at American Furniture Warehouse and Jake Jabs, so he's kind of the celebrity, or Deal & Doug, or any one of those that we see here around town. You don't have to do that, but you can see how in those particular businesses, it's helped create really strong branding for them by using that as a part of their overall strategy of how they get customers and clients. So that in a nutshell is the strategy piece between people, problem, process, and passion. We've got some questions here. So in that handout that John put in are some additional questions that you can ask to kind of get a better evaluation of who is your ideal clients, the problems you solve, and then a couple other categories where we talk about proof, position, possibilities. I like P words, so there you go. You can check that out.
So we're going to pause real quick. If you have any questions, you can ask them right now, or you can go ahead and put them in the chat. Just a built-in place for some questions here. Not seeing any come through yet, so we'll keep going, but as those do come up, feel free to put those in. We'll have another break for questions.
All right, let's get into the social media piece. So again, like I already mentioned, social media really is a rented space that you have. This is space that you rent. You don't own this. Someone else is making the rules on these platforms on how you can engage and what you can do. So you always want to keep that in mind when you're working with these platforms. And you can think of social media really as
Hi. Stop just for a second. I think if everyone could mute.
Come on, let's go see.
There we go. Sorry about that. But since we've stopped, Jacob just had a great question. We'll get right back into social media. I don't know if you have any thoughts about Jacob's question. Peter asking a good way to find information about your target audience.
Well, if you have anybody, on a list that you can actually do a survey, then yeah, let's ask them some questions and find out some key things by putting together some type of survey. There are a lot of resources out there, just in the library for, looking at target areas depending on your type of business. So what business are you looking at, Jacob? What's your business? Hello, Jacob. Online party boxes. E-commerce. Okay. So yeah, it depends on, if it's a brand new idea, it's a newer idea, that's a harder one to do. So sometimes what you have to do is get your product in front of people. So even if it's on some kind of trial basis or almost free, to get it in front of them. And then part of the requirement that is a part of getting that product is you're going to complete this questionnaire and have, a good detailed questionnaire so that you're getting the kind of feedback that you need to know. Is this, is the product a really good idea? Are they going to be really, what did they like about it? What didn't they like about it? To start to gather some data and information, and starting to drill down to, who your target audience is. So, party in a box type of thing is going to be pretty specific to an audience. So if it's for, it's a birthday party for, 6-year-old boys, well, that's pretty clear who your target audience is going to be, families with, children that are 6. So, so then it's like, okay, well, where do I find them? And then what am I going to do at that point once I get in front of them to really find out, is this something they want to do and want to have and be able to do it? So, but yeah, you got to do some surveys. And if it's a newer idea and you don't have an audience yet to gather that data, then you got to do some kind of trade of, here's something in order for me to get this information. And you're going to pay, instead of $100, you're going to pay $10, but you got to fill out this questionnaire and you got to do follow up and go through the whole process to gather that data, because that data is going to be really important to how you're going to understand that market better, to know the terms and the language they use so that you can match that in your marketing, and do all that. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. I also want to just add that through the SBDC, we have some resources that can help with market research. Like if you don't already have a mailing list built to do those surveys too, if you're in the step before that, we can get you some IBIS World Reports, which is a database that can help you understand, in this example, maybe we could look at the party industry or something like that, which can give you just kind of an overview of the different players in that industry and what the outlook is. And it's a lot of information and can be something that's actually really helpful to go through with a consultant who can kind of help you understand what those different pieces are meaning and how that can play into your plan, your marketing plan. But we're happy to get you those reports if you want to reach out. I'll put my email in the chat because we can do that. There's also a great resource through the library that's available statewide. It's called the Biz Boost program, and they will do some really in-depth market research for you to help you understand your target market. So we always like to make sure everyone knows about that resource because it's free and it's helpful. So great question. Any more questions while we're paused? All right, well, we'll keep going then on social media, but what's the name of the report? Oh, that was just a direct message, but maybe that's a question other people have. I'll repeat it again. It's the IBIS World Report is the database that we can grab some information for you all on, and I'll put that in the chat as well. All right, so we'll dive into social media again.
Delivery system for your strategy, for your branding, for your marketing, for your communication. It's a delivery system for you to communicate and engage with your prospects and your customers out on these social media channels. So what you have to think about in terms of social media is your content. And we've got a whole slide if you look at the PDF around content and how to build content, what to do with the content. So take a look at that. You get some good ideas around the content piece of it. So you should have a combination of your original content that you've created, and the easiest thing to do is to make video, and then also curated content. So content that supports your messaging, that supports your target market, and that's content from other places that you're also sharing, that you're commenting on, that you're making statements about other contents. And that could even be from a contrary standpoint. So maybe you saw an article that you actually don't agree with. That could be a good piece of content that you share where you say, hey, some people are saying this is a good way to solve this particular problem that we solve, but I actually don't think this is the best way to do it. Here's why. So you can provide some contrary viewpoints on certain curated content, which then makes it a little more original. One thing that people can do is, and really need to think about, is how do I create something fun and engaging on social? So when I'm on social, it's more like I'm at the coffee shop, I'm relaxing. So it's a little more difficult to try to do some direct marketing to someone who's just hanging out, they're casual, right? It's a social media platform. But one way to do that is with contests. So come up with some great idea around a contest that is going to engage your audience, that kind of helps promote your brand and your products. So it could be a contest where if you have a product that you sell, maybe you give away a free sample. But so many people have to comment or like the post, and then you'll pick a winner. So there's a lot of different ways you can do that. Maybe you do a photo contest, have people take pictures using your product, or make a video using your product. And if they do that, they're gonna be entered into a drawing for a prize. Just find some creative way to create a contest that's gonna engage people and get them more involved in your social, because that's really where you expand your social media presence, is by allowing people to engage with it more, because it winds up being shared throughout their profiles and to their connections that they have. It gives that a little bit of a viral sense to the things that you're doing. The other thing you have to think about is your calendar and the frequency. So do you have a calendar of regularly posting? So a lot of people go, well, how often should I post? And how, what's like, I post once a day, that seems like too much. Well, depending on the platform, once a day might not be nearly enough. Like you might need to post 3 times a day. It really depends on your target market. Go back to strategy. Who's your target market? What's the problem you solve? And how critical is that? And that kind of helps dictate your frequency. So have some kind of plan, and there's lots of ways you can do it. You see a lot of folks out there that kind of have a theme for every day of the week. You could do, I've done a Monday marketing mint, or Thursday throwbacks, Friday funnies, like whatever. Come up with some ideas for the themes of the day. I've seen Whiteboard Wednesdays, where someone does some whiteboard video, where they're writing things out on a whiteboard. So whatever it is, come up with some themes that you can do, so it makes it easier for you to come up with the type of content. And again, look at your strategy of who's my target market, what's going to engage them, and what can we use there. The other thing that I do is kind of a formula to help you decide how much you need to do that. So a big key obviously is consistency. Being consistent in whatever you decide you're going to do. So if you decide I'm posting once a day, Monday through Friday, then stick to that. Do that all the time. If you say you're going to post every Tuesday, you're going to go live on every Tuesday at 2 o'clock, then go live every Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Be consistent in whatever you decide that you're going to do. Again, that helps build your brand, and your consistency helps emphasize who you are and your reliability even as a business. But the formula I like to use is called RFP, which is recency, frequency, and proximity. So I think a little bit of it like dating. So if I ask someone out on a date and we're having a great time on our first date, having dinner, sitting outside, maybe wearing masks, so it could be a great date, but if I said to my date, hey, let's get married, the answer would probably be no. And if she said yes, then I should definitely be worried. But the answer is probably no, on a first date. Why is that? Well, while it was recent, it's just happening now. It hasn't been frequent. And you need both of those things to create that. So you need recency and you need some frequency. So how recent do I need to be and how frequent do I need to be to create proximity? So how can I, through social media and through my content and through my email marketing, how do I create a situation where I begin to create proximity, which is some level of closeness? I would like to think of it as a hug, even though hugs are not acceptable right now during a pandemic, but a virtual hug, okay? It's a virtual hug. It's totally safe to do a virtual hug. So how recent do I need to be and how frequent do I need to be in order to create that kind of proximity and that closeness that helps my prospects move closer to becoming customers, or that helps my customers remember who I am so they're referring me to their friends and family, or they're coming back to do business with me again, whatever the case might be. So just some tips there in terms of delivery system and how frequent you need to be in terms of posting and working with your content on social media platforms. So what are the sites, right? Again, who's your target market? Where are they? Facebook. I've actually listed Instagram here as a tier 2 site. I don't really believe that necessarily when it comes to your target market. Your target market may be ideal on Instagram. So in that case, it's totally a tier 1 kind of site. So Facebook owns Instagram. They're very closely connected. It's pretty easy to do marketing on both those channels kind of at the same time because you can connect those together. But my recommendation is if you're still figuring that out, you really are not got it nailed down, pick one that fits your ideal client the best and just focus on that one social media site. You don't need to be on every platform doing everything, but you should focus on a couple that are really going to reach your audience that you need to get good at. Like you need to become better at working on that side and making those sites work for you, because it does take some work. So Facebook, of course, again, if your market's there, your Facebook page, you're probably going to have to spend some money on ads to boost posts. Just because you post something on your Facebook page doesn't mean it's going to get seen by everybody who's liked your page. And it's important to note, there really is a big difference, and I find this oftentimes between your personal profile and your Facebook business page. These are two very different things. Your profile is something you log into. Your Facebook page is something that you go to. Like you go to that page and you're an administrator of that page. And you can add other administrators of that page to help you market that page. And one thing you can do on Facebook that a lot of people don't realize is that you can actually use Facebook as your business page and interact with other things. So we'll do this for some clients where we'll actually take and manage their Facebook page. And let's say it's a restaurant. I can go as that restaurant and look for news and information that's in the community. So let's say it's in the city of Brighton. There's a restaurant, and they can go out as the restaurant and comment on the Chamber of Commerce's Facebook page. They can comment on things going on in Adams County. They can comment on other activities and events that are happening as the restaurant. So it's a very organic way of building followers to your Facebook page so people can actually see how your business is interacting socially on Facebook. And it's a thing that most businesses miss out on there in doing that. LinkedIn definitely is a B2B type site. So if you're a B2B, business to business, then LinkedIn's a place that you want to be. You want to build out your profiles there on all these sites. Make sure your profile is complete, that it's updated, that it's got all your branding on them. So at least the basics are set up Again, Twitter is a little bit different. Depending on your market, it might be a great marketing platform. Again, to reach your audience, you're probably going to have to spend a little money on ads, which you can do on LinkedIn and Twitter as well. But for certain segments, it actually is a good platform for that. And of course, Instagram is really much more about visually, pictures, images, stories, video. All these platforms really are geared for video right now, and really for live video. The more you can integrate doing live video on the social platforms, the better. They're all doing it. That's what they want. It's the content that they will push out the most and get you the most views and the most interaction is by doing live video. So definitely take some time and look into that. Of course, there's a lot of other sites that you can look at as well. A couple tools that you can use in terms of helping you schedule your content. So you can schedule your content all at one time so you're not going out there every single day to post that. Hootsuite's a great tool for that. It's still awesome for using. We still use it. Buffer's another one. There's another application called Sendable. There's some other ones out there as well. There's a lot of them, but these are a couple that I would recommend. All right, that's the social media piece.
All right, we have another quick pause for any more questions, specifically on that social media section, or just more generally. We have one more section we're gonna dive into after this. All right, so not seeing any more questions right now, but feel free to type those in. And once we're done with this last section, we will take some more time for questions.
So let's talk about your website. So again, this is a property that you own. You have complete control of this. Some of the key factors, and I find this just working with a client on their website, a local sign company, and you know, the site's on WordPress, which is a very popular platform to build websites on. But the SSL, so SSL is making it the site secure. It's encrypted, so it helps prevent the site from getting hacked and having other issues and your data getting shared out and stolen. So here's a local business with a website with no SSLs. The site's not secure. So super important to have some of that, the technical factors correct on your website. And it's really, it's not that hard to do. Again, if who you're working with is not delivering on that, this is too important a piece of your business not to have reliable people that you work with, in particular on your website. So if they're not responsive in helping you, like, find somebody who will. But the website has to be mobile responsive. I still come across so many websites, and I look at so many websites for local businesses that I can't really see very well on my phone. Now, I know I'm over 50, so I need reading glasses, but they're actually still, you know, challenging with being able to read a website many times on phone because they haven't optimized it for mobile. Why is that important? Well, one, it's important that I can read it on my phone, but it's also important because Google here, and it's been a while now, probably more than a year, actually changed the way that they index your website, which means when we say index, we're talking about how they put it into their search engine. So when someone's going to do a Google search, Google's indexing that based on how people are going to find it. They index it and give it priority based on, is it a mobile responsive website? Can people look at it easily on their mobile device? So Google's tools actually will look at your website and look at it from a mobile perspective and index it based on that. And if you don't have it set up where it looks great on mobile and it views properly on mobile, Google will actually penalize you. Like you're not going to come up in search results as much as when you have that mobile responsiveness. Another factor is how fast the website loads. How fast do those pages actually load onto your device? So whether that's your desktop computer or your phone. That page speed is super important with how Google even looks at it. The SSL, the security, is hugely important. And remember the goal. So the goal I didn't mention at the beginning of this, I kind of skipped over that slide, is we want to get phone calls, right? We want to get customers. We want to have something happen with our website. So is the information on the website actually helping people move towards that? Do we make it confusing on what they should do? Part of the challenge we have on the website is that often we talk about way more about our business and not enough about who our prospect is. So that really goes back to our strategy and understanding who our target market is and making sure that our website is talking to them specifically and addressing their needs, and of course then offering our solutions that we have for them. And I like to follow the rule of 3 clicks. If I have to click more than 3 times to get to a piece of content and information, it's too many. People want information quickly. What's the most important information that people want about your product or service? Make sure that's super easy to get to right away. I shouldn't have to go very far to get that information. And then what's the most basic content that you need to make sure that you have? These are kind of the common pages that you see. Homepage, obviously, about page, contact, services, products. I talked about FAQs and SAQs, your frequently asked questions and should ask questions. Those should all be on there. Do you have a blog where you're posting new content? Again, why does Google want to send traffic to your website if you haven't posted anything new there, in a couple years? That's not a fresh website. Google's not going to give it very much of a priority. And then use video. That's the biggest piece that I still see missing for websites is taking advantage of using video. So there's so many ways to create video now. Between I'm using Zoom or GoToMeeting like this, I can create a screen share like you're looking at right now. That could be a video I put on my homepage. I can use my cell phone to make a little video to at least talk a little bit about my business or talk about my services. So get video involved because it's going to be used everywhere throughout your website, your social channels, your content, and all that. Another piece that gets missed in terms of just basic SEO is how the page structure is set up. So this really has to do with some of what we call metadata. So your page has a title and a description. And the better that those are, the better it's going to show up in search results. So when I do a search in Google, what I see for your web page is the title of the page, and I see a description of the page. That title and description are kind of in the background. So all the different website platforms give you a place where you can put in the page title and the page description. And that's kind of a way for you to go, let me give you a little more detail about what this page is about. So when you see it in the search result, you want to click on it. You want to go to that page. So you really want to write descriptions that make people want to visit that page. There's some stuff also with site structure as well. And then the other thing that I like to do and talk about is what I call conversational SEO. So a lot of the content right now is based around questions because people are using Siri, they're using Google Assistant, they're using Alexa to ask full questions. So it's more of a conversation that's happening and being found. So that's where your FAQs and SAQs become super important for that. But also in terms of using video, I started a couple years ago doing my blog posts, and I would make a 5 5 to 7 minute video, and then I just get that transcribed. So when you have a video that you transcribe, the way that text is, it's much more conversational versus something that I wrote as a blog post. And Google really likes that conversational, more personal, more practical type of text. And then there's a couple of tools, Google Analytics, Google Console, that you can use to track progress. If you're not sure what to build on, you know, Weebly, Wix, Squarespace, build your site there to start with. You might want to get on WordPress at some point. Even GoDaddy's website builder has gotten a lot better over the years, and it's a pretty good platform to at least get started on for that. So that's a quick overshot of the websites.
All right. So that is the content. I know we have some great questions now. Thank you to former Peter for presenting all of that, and thank you to current Peter for being on board.
I'll go back to Jacob's here first.
Yeah.
On the social. So my first question, Jacob, so my answer to your question is a question. Why are you reluctant to do the marketing on social media?
Oh, sorry. Let me unmute you, Jacob.
You could type it in or.
I'm a decent typer, but I'm not that fast. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm only reluctant to do the work because I want to spend more time on other aspects of the business, and I'm not socially or social media active myself. So that's another reason.
So, I mean, there's a couple of things there to think about. The challenge we have a lot of times with, you know, doing a business is that a lot of us are craftsmen at whatever it is we do. And the thing we love the most is the thing that we are actually doing in the business. And that's where we're most comfortable, and that's where we spend our time. The challenge is that the number one thing we have to figure out in our businesses is marketing and being good at marketing our businesses. So it's very hard to pass on that kind of marketing to someone else unless you have a very good documented strategy, which if you want to spend some more time on that, I'm happy to, we can meet and go through. We have a whole strategy document, and if we do our digital marketing boot camp again, we spend a lot of time on that. But you know, if you have a really clear strategy and marketing calendar and things mapped out and planned out, and an idea around what you want to accomplish, then you can get someone to help you with that. Not being socially involved socially yourself is kind of irrelevant to being socially and marketing your business. To me, those are two entirely separate, different things, and the way you go about them are completely different. And so, so I guess I'm challenging the idea a little bit, Jacob.
That's fine. Thank you.
Not to be mean, but that's you know, it's a natural thing for us to want to do the thing that we can do. Like if we build chairs, we're good at building chairs. Like, oh, wait, I need to go sell some chairs too. And so I would say, you know, work through that and see what you can come up with. And if you can work on a clear documented strategy all the way through, then you can probably get some more help to do some of those things. And there's a lot of ways to do it. There are bits and pieces you can get people to create and do and make it work. So I think a little more thinking around strategy and the actual, you know, what are the things that can be social, that it's not that you necessarily have to go live on Facebook and do that, every day or something. There's a lot of different ways to get content together and do that. So
Thank you.
yeah, you bet.
Awesome.
Let's see, a
Um,
question about online payment systems. So there's a couple different ways to do that. You can definitely just set up something with PayPal to link to something. A couple of things I would recommend if you're doing events to think about. One, I would take a look at Eventbrite. Eventbrite can handle taking payment and all that stuff. They do take a percentage. So that's one way. The other way that I set this up for clients quite frequently, I use a platform called Jotform, and you're able to make any kind of form you want to collect any kind of information that you want. And then you can add PayPal or other payment systems to that form to collect the payment that way. That way you're capturing all their data and their information and have a place to do that. And you can do a lot more options than just sticking a PayPal button on your website. So some kind of form tool like Jotform, they're really reasonable in terms of the basic cost of it. I think their most basic plan is like $70 a year or something. And you can make, as many forms as you want on it. So did you have other question, BM?
I do, yeah. So the reason I don't like Eventbrite is because it takes you to their website.
Yeah.
I know PayPal and Venmo does the same, but I feel like it's a few clicks less. But I'll look at jotform.com and explore that as an option too, I guess.
Jotform you can embed in the page on your website.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right? So you can grab the code, the embed code, and stick it on a page on your website. That way they stay on your website.
Okay. All right. Great.
And it's super easy to use. They got great support. You could build any kind of form, any kind of different pricing options. You can build all that on Jotform, and it's my go-to kind of tool for that, because I have clients that'll be like, oh, I'm gonna have a little workshop, or I have this one-off thing, I want to sell a t-shirt, just really simple things. And it's nice to have Jotform to be able to capture all the information, take a payment, and I just go, what's your PayPal account? And I just connect it, and that all works pretty great. So that would be my recommendation
Thank you.
to look at. Let's see here. Had a question about, let's see. This is Tanya. Reluctant because of being shy, not sure about how to present. All right. I'm going to tackle that one real quick here. I'm not shy, but we can always work on our speaking skills. I'm sending you a link to Toastmasters. I'm in a Toastmasters club. We meet every Thursday morning at the Broomfield Community Center, and we practice public speaking in front of people and working on not being shy and being able to take questions on the fly and do all the things. So you thought I was just a naturally wonderful speaker and it came easy. It's like, no, you got to work on these things. And so I'm kidding. I'm sure you didn't think that, but anyway, Toastmasters, Tanya, come on out this Thursday morning, and that is one of the best ways to really learn how to improve that. All right, so Amy, hi Amy, how you doing?
Great, how's it going?
Let's see here. So the first thing you have here is the question about analytics. Can you easily translate that also to Google Search Console? So they're kind of two separate tools. The Google Search Console, to get to that.
Well, I tried to do it, but I'm not sure where to put my DNS. Like they gave me a code to put into the DNS and I wasn't sure where to put it. But I already have a bunch of them in Google Search Console and Google Analytics. that I wanted to do there. So that was my problem. And then the other thing is I'm combining a bunch of my websites. So like there's some stuff in analytics of the website I no longer have. I forwarded it to my main website. So I'm not sure the appropriate way to change to tell Google that I've just transferred it to forward it to Improv Poet.
So the DNS settings you would do on your actual domain. So they give you like a little bit of code. So you
Right.
have to like sign into GoDaddy, wherever your domain is, and add it as a TXT.
But which, like, do I put it, like, where do I put, like, would I put it in, like, if I'm on WordPress, do I put it like in the header? Just on WordPress? And then if I update, then does it still have to be in the header, or do they just need to know once that it's good enough?
Well, it actually needs to be on the domain itself. There's a setting that you put on the actual domain. So you have to log into wherever your domain is, not to the website.
Right, not to the WordPress and not like go to editor, header, footer.
Nope.
Instead actually go to one of the, but which file? Because there's a bunch of different files for my website. I'm not sure where to put it in.
Let's schedule a meeting with me. Will you? And we can do it. It'll take 5 minutes.
Got it.
Yeah, we just need to log into where your domain. I can walk you right through it. I do this, every time we launch a website, we do this. But yeah, they're separate. It's a separate setting, separate connection, completely different way, the way you connect it. One is like the Google Analytics. You just put the code on the website. The Search Console. So, for everybody's benefit, Search Console is where you tell Google where your sitemap. So you have a sitemap. Every website has a sitemap, and you put that sitemap on the Google Search Console. So what happens is every time you make a change on the website, you add a new page, you edit a page, it updates that sitemap. That sitemap being in the Google Search Console gets updated, and Google goes, oh, there's something different. And it sends its little spiders to go crawl your site again and to assimilate that new content. So that's why having that set up is really important. So schedule a meeting with me, Amy, and we'll go through and get that set up for you. It's confusing if it's not something you do every day. Because it's a foreign language. So none of it makes sense. It's not, normal things. So was there anything else that you had?
Oh yeah, is it okay to ask an email question?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so like I have a bunch of people who've reached out to me who I talked to them a lot, but they didn't wind up booking with me.
Yep.
And they didn't necessarily say they wanted to opt into my email. People even have asked me to like email them information. Like, what's best practices with that? Because some of them have been like over a year ago. I'm just starting to email
Yes.
campaigns, so I don't know what best practices are.
Yeah, there's no problem with adding them to your email list to continue to reach out to them. So if they don't want to, they just hit unsubscribe, and it's not a problem. But
Like MailChimp won't be like, we hate you because you have too many.
no, oh no, you can
Or
totally
if they
do that.
check, like, I never asked permission, because you have to say that they gave you permission, like when you put them to the list. So it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So that-
I mean, I'm assuming since we're communicating back and forth, I have their permission to email them.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Those are great questions. So if anyone else has another question, you can raise your hand and I can unmute you. My unmute all is not working today for some reason, but feel free to raise your hand if you do have any last minute questions. And like Peter has mentioned, you can, I put it there in the chat, you can schedule a one-on-one meeting with Peter for free. He's one of our SBDC consultants. We're so thankful for that. So if you want to dive deeper into any of that or work through any of your questions, you can do that in a session with Peter or any of our other marketing consultants if his schedule isn't matching up with yours. So always feel free to reach out with any of those types of scheduling questions or any other types of questions. And I know we're coming up on the hour here, so we really appreciate you all joining us. And I will be, like I said, I will be sending this out so you have access to the resources if you want to refer back to anything. Anything else you want to say, Peter?
No, just what you were saying. If, you know, you want to get more specific into your, you know, what you're doing and how to do something, then yeah, schedule some time with me and we'll sort it out and figure it out and get you moving to the next step.
Perfect. Well, awesome. Thank you all for joining, and we hope you have a great afternoon.